We hit our 100th t-shirt sale just 10 days after launching our brand new Shopify store. And ever since then, this little brand has grown to over $2.5 million in total sales. But this video is not about how to make $1 million or even 100,000. It's actually about something that's arguably much harder. And that is how to get your very first 100 t-shirt sales on Shopify. And don't worry, this is not your typical just optimize a store, install some magical app, and then boom, we're right there type of advice. This is going to be well grounded in a real world experience. The exact steps that we followed to optimize not only this store to 100 plus sales within 10 days, but in fact, over 8 different brands in total. And the real plot twist of everything that we're going to talk about is that it really has nothing to do with the Shopify store itself. Stick around to the end and you'll see exactly what I mean. So how do we actually generate our first 100 t-shirt sales on Shopify? Well, first off, we're going to use a very simple mental frame that was extremely powerful in changing my own understanding of how to think about a Shopify store. And so for a second, we want to picture that we don't have an online store. We don't even have a website. Instead, we are a brick and mortar store that is based on, Main Street, USA. And we have just stepped through the doors of our brand new store with all of our t-shirts around. We want to actually picture that. Like, what would that experience look like? Like, what would a good experience really be? And when we're picturing a brick and mortar, it's really easy for us to throw out ideas of what a good physical store, should have. But more specifically, when we picture a t-shirt store that is packed with people from end to end, super successful, customers are lining up at the register and shirts are, basically flying off the shelves. What does that store look and feel like? And then picture the opposite end of the spectrum, like a store that has the exact same products, but it's a complete ghost town, totally empty, no sales are coming in. We ask ourselves, like, what's the difference here? Is it the lighting? Is it the shelves, the color of the carpet? Like, what do we think the operative piece is there? And the answer is honestly something pretty simple. It's something that starts well before people even step inside the store. And that is the niche, the product, and the brand reputation. So the first thing that we're going to dial in is our niche and product combination. This is the biggest factor. And we're not going in reverse order here, starting with least to most important. This is the stuff that really matters. So it starts with choosing the right niche. The people that we're putting the products in front of and showing them the right t-shirts that they'd be interested in. And when I was starting out, I'd, throw out together a new store and I would add a few products that I thought was cool. And then what do you know? It was crickets, like no sales. So what did I do to try to fix it? Well, I wasted hours and hours testing out different apps and changing button colors, installing new pop-ups, changing my CTA button from blue to green, thinking that those were the really important things. But in fact, it wasn't. The real problem was that I had picked a niche that people just simply didn't really care about. I cared about it, but it wasn't something people were passionate about. And then the shirts that I was putting in front of them just were not resonating because they were, again, generic. And 9 times out of 10, the reason that your store is not profitable and not getting sales has nothing to do with the way that it looks. It's simply that we either have chosen the wrong audience or we're putting the wrong things in front of them. And so until we dial in those two things, if your designs don't speak directly to your niche, like their identity, their sense of humor, and their values, like no amount of website changes or optimization will ever save you, or increase Facebook ad spend for that matter. But when we flip that equation, if you have a basic site, nothing fancy, but you're offering extremely valuable or high perceived value shirts to a niche that really loves them, then you're going to get sales. Like your site could be terrible. So step 1 is picking a passionate niche that passes the bumper sticker test, meaning that they would proudly wear it on their, like either on a tattoo or, on the back of their car, which normally means that they would wear it, on their t-shirt. And then we're not going to stop there. We're going to take it a step further by once we pick that niche, and ideally it's one that we are in ourselves, we pick that niche, something that people are super passionate about. And then we want to take it a step further by making sure that we do research on Amazon and Etsy. So we are finding products that the market is already interested in. And this is one of the common mistakes amongst beginner print-on-demand sellers, is that they will maybe do a little bit of niche research, maybe find a market that is passionate about the topic that they're going to be making the brand around. But then when they get to the design drawing board, all of that research essentially goes out the window. And they end up just creating things completely from scratch that they themselves find interesting, which is great. But what we actually want to do is go to Etsy, Amazon, Pinterest, Redbubble, all the top distribution channels for t-shirts and online apparel and see what designs are trending. Where's the market currently at? Reverse engineer what's working and don't just design for ourselves. Because unless if we are the exact customer, our opinions just simply don't matter. We want to design for the market. We have a running joke that anything I think is going to do well normally bombs and vice versa. And so if this part is where, you're currently stuck with figuring out your niche, finding designs that actually sell, well, that's exactly what we built our free school community to help you with. So inside of it, you're going to find 51 hours of completely free Shopify print-on-demand training, as well as myself, a bunch of coaches, all the templates that we're using in our brand today, and a full library of product ideas, templates, design prompts. And it's, again, completely free. I've personally spent thousands of dollars on courses where I only got burned. And so I want to put out something different, in the world. And we also break down like real student stores, and you're able to learn from, like-minded people who are going through the same thing. So there's no fluff, no paywall, just real help and, value that's based off of not just $25 million in sales, but actually what we're still using today. And it's totally free. So check that out if you're interested. But in the meantime, we're going to keep going to step number 2, which is we've nailed the niche and the brand. Now we're going to talk about the product catalog. And the second major reason that beginners fail is that their catalog is just simply too small. Because if you have only 5 to 10 or even upwards of 50 t-shirts on your store, you're just simply making it way harder on yourself. When we launched our yoga brand, YogaStay, we didn't just upload 10 designs and fingers crossed, hopefully it'll work. We launched with over 75. Nowadays, we recommend 100 to 150. And that allowed us to have a variety. Some were minimalist, some were mandala inspired, some were typography, and some were just plain funny, humorous tees. But the reason we did that is so that when somebody lands on our store, we want them to feel like there's something for them while it's still under the niche umbrella. So not just a random handful of shirts that could be found, on any boardwalk, but we want to start with 50 to 100 designs. It sounds like a lot, but in reality, once you practice it a little bit using tools like ChatGPT or Mystic, you're able to get up to 100 designs extremely quickly. And especially once you have dialed in the way that you're researching designs, you're able to speed up that process a lot by just learning the tools. But what I recommend is just pick one tool and don't keep diversifying. So pick one AI tool, start practicing using it, using research bestsellers from your niche, and use those as the inputs to remix to come up with completely unique designs. Make sure that you're not copying. Make sure that you are, at the very least, you need to be changing the typography, the design style, the layout, and varying it. It should be at least 30 to 40% different than what the original design was that you found. But as long as you follow those guidelines and you keep it simple, pick one tool to get good with, and you just commit to getting to 75 to 100 designs as quickly as possible, you're going to be in great shape. And that puts us in a great spot for step number 3, which is where we launch super simple ads, and that allows us to iterate extremely quickly. And so here we use primarily meta ads to create ads of our mock-ups of our product photos. So the product literally is the ad creative, and then the ad copy is just something super simple, like our niche, like new collection drop, and then an emoji. And then we see what the cost per clicks are. So we start off with a super small budget. Like when we launched our new store on day 1, we did $400 in sales off of $130 spent on ads. Then day 2, that increased to nearly $700 off of $183 in ads. So this is the same exact ads, same targeting, and the only change was simply that we increased our budget by 10 to 20%. And the best part is that our ad creative was literally the product mockup and just like a one-liner piece of ad copy. So if you don't have any reviews yet, you also don't have to worry about it. We launch every store without reviews. And the key also isn't creating some kind of fancy video ads. The key is just high volume and iteration. So we launch ads for all of our top 10 to 20 t-shirts, and we see what gets clicks and what gets sales. And in the beginning, we are just looking for a cost per click in the range of 50 to 75 cents. And then we very simply turn off what's not working, and we leave on and increase the budget of what is. And when we rinse and repeat this process, just grooming and then launching more ads, and just repeat that over and over, that's how we get to the point of profitability very quick. But the good thing to know is that while there are dips and you will have slow days and CPMs might go up or cost per clicks, you don't have to panic, and you don't have to get hung up on it. You just zoom out, look at the last 3 to 5 days and see what's the trend. Over the past 3 to 5 days, has it been going up in terms of performance? Have I gotten any purchases? And if the answer is no and it's going down, then we normally pause the ad. And then we simply make a mental note that we want to make designs that are not like this anymore. We want to make more designs like the ones that are getting good clicks. And then that's how we can start with a $25 to $50 a day budget and quickly ramp that up to the point that we're spending hundreds and then thousands of dollars per day profitably with paid ads. A lot of people think it's super expensive and all that. It's really not. It's expensive when you don't know what you're doing. And I don't say that like sarcastically or anything. When I say don't know what you're doing, it's a lot of people think that they have to spend a lot more and just let it continue running when you're not getting good performance. If I'm not seeing profitable results like by day 2 or 3, I'm pausing the ads and figuring out what's going on and then taking more action and then launching for another 2 to 3 days and seeing how it performs until eventually one of those times we end up taking off. And so we start with small budgets. We test out as many products as possible. That gives us the data that we need to review which design styles are doing well. Like, is it the minimalist stuff? Is it the typography? Where is it that the audience is most interested? And then that's, again, why it's super important that we launch with at least 75 to 100 designs, because that allows us to make sure that we're hitting little pockets all over the place. So to recap everything that we just talked about, the exact playbook that we used to go from 0 to 100 t-shirt sales in about 10 days was we picked a niche that people are proudly already repping. We built a broad, high quality product catalog, not starting off with 5 or 10. And we launched super simple ads that allowed us to then iterate extremely fast based on the winners. We didn't just wait back and hope that things improve. We know that that action has to come from us. And finally, we didn't get attached to any individual products. We are attached to the outcome, and we didn't overcomplicate things with some, convoluted Shopify theme. We went with Dawn, and the moral of the story is to stop tweaking and just start testing more. There's no such thing as too many designs. If you think that, 100 is a lot, then try 1,000. And that's when we really can start scaling up quickly. So if you've launched a t-shirt store and, it's just not working, or you're trying to optimize things, or maybe you've taken a couple sales and that's great, you can, again, join our free school community and you'll personally get to go through all of the training material that we have. And again, I want to thank you for watching this video. I would love to hear from you in the comments what questions you have. And if you want to see more stuff like this, breaking down each step in the process, then be sure to let me know down below. But without further ado, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.